This is from USA Today. It says, they say students have fallen 3 grade levels behind. They say behavior has never been worse. They say it's as if they have to teach people who have only built 1-story houses how to build skyscrapers. And they say they've been too scared to talk about it until now. Teachers are taking to TikTok to express their fears, frustrations, and worries about the state of education more than 3 years after the COVID-19 pandemic prompted school shutdowns and remote learning nationwide. Though the problem of some students underperforming is nothing new, many teachers say the gap between where kids are and where they ought to be has never been more staggering. To make matters worse, these teachers say the education system isn't doing enough to address the issue and that most of their colleagues are too scared to call it out publicly. But thanks to a new viral video, they say they feel emboldened, validated, and feel free to say their piece. It all started when a 7th grade teacher in Georgia spoke out on TikTok last week about how much kids are struggling, revealing most of his students entered the school year performing at a 4th grade level or lower. So this is the original viral video. Maybe you've seen this, and it's got something like 4 million views at this point, with a teacher talking about what it's like in his classroom and how far behind the kids are in his 7th grade classroom. And then many other teachers have joined in and said, yeah, this is exactly what I'm experiencing as well. So before we talk about it, let's watch the video from this teacher.
No, y'all, can we talk about it? Can we please talk about it? Let's take a moment to discuss. Let's take a moment to debrief. Let's take a moment to unpack. So I'm not really understanding why they're not telling y'all. Like, we all know that the world is behind, like, globally, like, because of the pandemic and stuff. But I don't understand why they're not stressing to y'all how bad it is. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny, but these kids are... I'm going to just say this. I teach 7th grade. They are still performing on the 4th grade level. I don't care how you flip it, turn it, swing it, swindle it. They still performing on the 4th grade level. Ain't nobody talking about how they just keep moving, passing them on. They just keep passing them on, 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 passing them on. I can put as many zeros in this grade book as I want to. They're going to move that child to the 8th grade next year. Ain't nobody talking about that. Why they not talking about that? Why they not telling y'all that y'all... And why don't y'all know that y'all kids not performing on their grade level? Why y'all don't know this? Why y'all don't know? Talk about it. Let's unpack. Because y'all be quick to talk about, oh, the teacher this, the teacher this, it's your job, baby. I just got here 30 days ago. She was performing on the 4th grade level since 4th grade. Why we not talk? Well, let's talk about it. You the teacher. You supposed to be, again, she been on the 4th grade level since the 4th grade. We in 7th grade now, so you let this child go 3 years and you never knew that your child was still in the 4th grade, ain't never left the... Hang it up, flat screen. In 4th grade is being nice. I still have kids performing on grade K, 1, 2, and 3rd grade levels. I could probably count on one hand how many kids are actually performing on their grade level. So just imagine, you don't know that your child been on the 2nd grade level since the 2nd grade and they now in the 7th or 8th grade? Are you joking right now? And these are future leaders, our future doctors, our future nurses, our future... Please.
Let's talk about it. So he says, let's unpack twice. You don't need to use that phrase once in your life, really. Certainly not twice in a 90-second video. But putting that aside, okay, yeah, it is something we should talk about, and it is like it's a major problem. I don't know how else to put it. We've got a generation of kids who are not being educated, and who they're going to graduate like barely knowing how to read. Okay, it's coming. It's happening right now. Everything, Idiocracy. That movie imagined. I think it was 500 years in the future when we lived in a world dominated by sub 75 IQ morons. That was being way too optimistic. 500 years. Okay, we're talking about the next 5 years. That's what we're looking at, if we're not already there. And yes, it is a major problem, and he's right to point it out. He's also right that he's right to put much of the responsibility on parents, because there are a lot of parents who are not aware of their own child's abilities and their own child's struggles. They're not aware of it or don't seem to be concerned about it. They're not working with their kids. This is not the case for every parent at all. And I don't even know if we could say most parents, but there's certainly a large preponderance of parents, way too many. I mean, one is too many, but there's way too many parents who are not concerned with their kids' education. They just ship the kid off to school, and then the kid comes home and they just assume, it's like, well, they've taken care of that. And the kid comes home and they're playing video games, or they're on TV, or they're on their phones, and that's all they do. And that's all the parents want to do also, which is part of the problem. All the parents want to do is be on their phone staring at screens. And so that's all the kids do when they're at home. And there's no kind of real intellectual engagement of any kind between parent and child. And then for a lot of these teachers, they become very frustrated because then they try to talk to the parents about it. The parents don't want to hear it. And then they put the onus back on the school. And so that's what goes on. And so that's true, and that's a major problem. However, it is also true that the school system itself and the teachers themselves bear an enormous amount of responsibility here as well. And when I watch a video like that and I see a lot of these other teachers that are joining in, I don't see enough personal responsibility. Yeah, you're calling on parents to take responsibility. Great, fine, agreed. But where's your personal responsibility? Okay, it's easy enough to say, oh, I just got here 30 days ago. Fine. That might be the case for you personally with this next group of children when the school system, the school year just started last month. But the school system itself, and the school system is run, when we're talking about the school system, we're talking about teachers and administrators. Okay, the system is not some sort of organism. It's comprised of people. And so we're talking about teachers and administrators. And they have also failed miserably, and I don't hear nearly enough discussion about that. I mean, you want to have a conversation? This guy's saying, let's talk about it. Let's have it. So what's going on your end? Why have you guys failed so catastrophically? Because the thing is, this problem it didn't just start now. In fact, it's been trending this way for decades. Okay, it's been trending this way for a long time. Years and years and years, way before COVID, it was trending in this direction. We already had a major problem years ago of people graduating high school with no grasp on basic subjects like civics, geography, history. We already had a major problem of kids coming out of high school, 18 years old, and if you ask them, to name 10 of the 50 states in the country, they'd be stumped. Okay, if you ask them to tell you what century the Civil War occurred in, they'd be stumped. So we already had that problem. And now the problem is getting much worse. And there's no way you can't absolve the parents, but you also can't absolve the education system itself, which too often is how this conversation goes. It's easy to blame the parents. Everybody blames the parents. Everyone blames the parents for everything. And any problem that happens in society, we all turn to the parents and say, oh, it's all bad parenting. And there's always an element of that. Okay, there's truth to that. But that's the easy thing to say. What's more difficult and what people don't want to say is, you know what, we also have a problem of there are a lot of really bad teachers. They're just bad at their jobs. On top of the bad parents, we also have bad teachers. I've got to tell you about something that speaks to the very core of our values as Americans, about a veteran-owned company on a mission to make a real difference in the lives of our military members. I'm talking about Pure Talk. Here's the Daily Wire. We absolutely love what they're doing. Our veterans gave everything to protect our nation, and Pure Talk understands the sacrifices they've made. They've set an ambitious goal to eliminate $10 million in military debt by Veterans Day, but they can't do it alone. They need your help. When you switch to Pure Talk's lightning-fast 5G network, they'll donate a portion of every new order to this noble cause. You can make a real difference just by choosing superior cell phone service. It's that simple. Pure Talk's plans start at just $20 a month, offering unlimited talk, text, more data, and a mobile hotspot. Just go to puretalk.com/Walsh and make the switch. Let's rally together and show our unwavering support for our veterans. Visit puretalk.com/Walsh and switch to Pure Talk today. It's the right move, and it's the American way. And we have an education system. Yeah, it's true that if you send your kid off to the education system, you should not just assume that takes care of it and you don't have to participate in your own kid's education. You shouldn't assume that. So no matter where you send your kid to be educated, or if they are educated at home in a homeschooling environment, either way, you should be participating actively every day in your child's education. That's true. But also, we do have this thing in this country called the education system. And so it's not unreasonable for parents to expect that if they send their kid to the education system, that their kid will be educated in that system. And that's not happening at all for a lot of these kids. And when we hear representatives of the education system talking about it, they they always put the onus back on the parents. They never take any responsibility for it themselves. They refuse to. And everyone acknowledges that there are bad parents out there, but the moment you say, there are also bad teachers, how dare you? Teachers are saints. They're martyrs. They're perfect in every way. Well, this is bad teachers. How dare you? No, you know what? There are a lot of horrible, stupid teachers who don't even have a grasp of the subject that they're supposed to be teaching. That is also the case. And until you're willing to talk about that, you're not actually ready for this conversation at all. Guess what? Also, we can't put all the blame on COVID here, but that really amplified the problem, and it sped up a lot of these trends. Okay, a lot of these troubling trends that we already saw. Well, who decided to shut the schools down? And in fact, who was in the streets marching, demanding that the schools stay closed? Who was that? It was the teachers, wasn't it? The teachers were marching in the streets, demanding that schools remain closed for their own sake because they're so scared of getting a cold. Any accountability for that? Schools closing, that was the schools themselves were behind that and insisted on it. And for a lot of these teachers, schools opened up again across the country. I mean, they closed for at least, almost every school was closed for at least like half a year, which is a long time for a child to miss out on education. Some of them were closed for over a year and a half. But when they did start opening up again, the teachers were the ones saying, keep them closed. I don't know, if Randy Weingarten and company had their way, maybe the schools would still be closed. I don't know. If it was really up to them. So maybe there should have been more teachers. I know it wasn't every teacher. There were some teachers who said from the beginning, schools need to stay open. You can't just stop educating kids. You can't do that. But there weren't nearly enough. So maybe there should have been more teachers who instead of being out in the street saying, no, keep them closed. I'm scared. I don't want to get a cold. Maybe there should have been more teachers in the street saying, open these schools up. We need to educate our children. We care about them. You know what? Maybe there should have been more teachers saying, you know what? I am willing to risk getting sick for the sake of educating. That's how much I care about my job. I'm willing to make that sacrifice. If you weren't willing to make the sacrifice, if you're so terrified of getting a cold because you're a coward, that you're willing to sacrifice a child's education, then don't come complaining now. What about that guy? I mean, I have no idea with that guy. I have no idea where he was on COVID back in 2020. Maybe he wasn't even teaching at the time. I don't know. And I could be totally wrong about this, I would be somewhat surprised if it turned out that that guy in particular back in 2020 was a voice crying out in the wilderness saying, keep the schools open. Could be wrong. But one thing I can say, a lot of teachers now are complaining about kids are far behind. And I know for a fact that many of those teachers were not only happy that schools closed, but were insistent on it and wanted to keep them closed for longer. And now they pretend to be so concerned. Now when it's like too late, honestly, I hate to say it, but it's too late for a lot of these kids. A lot of these kids, they don't have parents who are going to teach them. They just don't. They should, but they don't. And you sacrificed a year of whatever education they were getting in the public school system. You sacrificed a year of it, and they fell way behind, and they haven't been able to catch up. And now a lot of those kids are feeling just like overwhelmed, and they've given up. You know what happened? The school system gave up on these kids around COVID. And a lot of the kids have responded by giving up on school. That's what's going on here. Hey, YouTube, thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like access to my full show with no ads, you should go to dailywire.com and use promo code Walsh to get 2 months free on all annual plans. See you there.